I am forecasting gold for this cycle. I call pre-bust, meaning it's probably by the end of this year, of 4,000.
Wow.
I had a forecast of 3,000, raised it to 3,400 sometime mid-year last year, I think, and then raised it to 4,000 when we were at 2,500. Or no, at 30, I think when we were at 3,400. I raised it to 3,400 when we were at 2,500. So, so I think 4,000 is a target pre-bust. Post-bust, I think gold can go to 20,000. And silver, I have a pre-bust target that I've had for quite a while of 75. Again, end of this year type of thing. And my post-bust target, probably, by sometime 32 or 3, 31, 32, 33, 20, 31, 32, 33. I think silver can get to 500. You're not wrong at all. I mean, my instincts are with the Freedom Caucus, with Massey, with those in terms of, from an ideological standpoint, government, the swamp both sides in Washington have created this problem. We're way beyond anything we should be in terms of, down that road towards bankruptcy. And basically, as we see it, and again, one party's worse than the other, but they're both offenders. And when we see, though, the waste and the fact that they go in there, paupers, and they walk away multi-millionaires, if not billionaires, something's wrong with our system. They're robbing us blind. Doge, you can say what you want about Doge. They uncovered a lot in terms of the games that were played, particularly by, the left, in terms of the NGOs and the money funneling through the NGOs and back into their pockets. And I'm not saying Republicans don't have some of that, but the bulk of it was the Democrats. The problem is, when you're trying to solve a problem, you can't be ideological. And I think what Massey didn't understand is the alternative's 100 times worse. So in the end, we didn't need your vote, Tom Massey, but you were basically, either you were going to destroy the country because your vote was going to cause this not to go through, or your vote wasn't going to be the final determinant. We were going to get it through without you. So I don't think he accomplished anything other than, taking a principled stand. I agree with the principle, but, I go back to what I said before, the deficit, again, all things being equal, and I'm calling for a bust, so all things aren't equal. But if we weren't staring at a bust or staring at a downturn, I would be making the case that the deficit could go away with the BBB. As I said, supply side economics, you deregulate, the banks are starting to recognize we're being unleashed again. After the Frank, Barney Frank bill, or whoever it was he paired up with. But, when they tied the hands after after 2008-9.
Oh, yeah, first Dodd-Frank.
Yeah, the Dodd-Frank bill. We're starting to unwind some of that. The deregulating of the financial system is going to allow some growth there, that not just in the banks, but what they promote, their lending, etc. So those are pro-growth bills. The opening up of Anwar, the opening up of drilling, and people don't realize how much this country is, as much as we are head and shoulders above any other economy in the world, we've had shackles on us with all this deregulation, climate change, etc. You take a lot of that away, and it doesn't mean all of a sudden we're going to be a polluting country, or we're going to be, doing things that are, not good for us or for health or anything else. In the end, a lot of this regulation was silly bureaucracy and also a leftist agenda to hurt us. So when you take that away, you're going to be amazed at what it frees up in terms of the economy. The problem is I got that bus staring at me, so I can't know how much we're going to be able to head off. Number one, I don't think we're going to be able to head off the bus or head much off now. Where I think it will make a difference, though, is on the other side of the bus. If and that's why the big beautiful bill was so important. Getting that through means he does have his agenda still intact, even if he loses Congress. If he loses, in the midterm elections, he still has gotten enough through to deal with immigration, to deal with deregulation, to deal with, oil and gas drilling and expansion, to deal with reshoring. So, I don't think he necessarily needs Congress to keep his agenda going after that. And so I think where we're really going to see his agenda, his policies make a difference is on the other side of the bus. And it will be those pro-growth policies that I think you will actually see for a few years or a couple of years, deficit shrink. I don't know if they'll shrink all the way down, probably not, but it depends. He's bringing an awful lot of new investment into this country. So we could be surprised at the boom on the other side of the bus. The problem then is after the bust, within 2 or 3 years, because of the massive money print, and that money print will be accompanied by fiscal, so we'll even have bigger government spending because of the bust. You run into, probably by the end of this decade, maybe before, a problem of inflation skyrocketing, and inflation draws, interest rates follow inflation. So you're going to have double-digit interest rates and big government debt to finance. So you know this from our other discussions. I am calling for a global financial collapse in the mid-30s, because this isn't just the U.S., it's around the world. That the bust creates the opposite, which is we'll go from deflation to massive to hyperinflation, and still have potentially that 330 trillion in global debt will grow to 450 or 500 trillion by the end of this decade, and we'll be dealing with interest rates in double digits and ultimately high double digits. I don't think that equation can balance. I think ultimately you will see sovereign debt defaults, including the U.S. Because when you get inflation, and I'm jumping ahead on you, but when you get inflation of that level or anything close to double digits, the money printer gets shut down. The printing press gets shut down. You take the printing press away, and the equation is a closed equation that cannot be solved. We won't have the money to service the debt.
Well, I mean, David, that's a very negative picture. If the dollar is no longer the world reserve currency, that example, there needs to be something that could replace it. I don't see the BRICS being part of that yet, and I certainly hope not. That would not be good for the U.S., not going to be the yen, not going to be the euro. Is it going to be some basket? How do you think that could play out? Now, that's looking 10 plus years in the future.
Yeah, you're right. The one thing I am pretty confident in is saying the dollar will remain reserve currency for the next 5 years, beyond 5, 6 years, whatever. Beyond that, it's anybody's guess. I don't know what comes of that, because don't forget, we're not in isolation in this problem. This is, worldwide. China's not escaping this. Japan's not escaping this. Europe certainly is not escaping this, and I'm not sure the euro is going to survive the bust. So, I'm not sure. So I don't know whether there is going to be anything to replace the dollar. The problem is, I think that the environment I'm describing, the scenario I'm describing post-bust, where you have high inflation, high interest rates, and all around the world similar things, but the Fed and the central bank printing more than anybody else, because we are always the one that does the most. I do think the dollar could be below 50. I'm calling for 82. Then it could go up to 120 in the bust as people flee to the safety of the U.S. And then from 120, let's say in late 2026 or early 2027, I think it could fall all the way to 50 or below by early next decade. So I do think the dollar is going to be in trouble, but I don't know what replaces it. Yeah, gold and silver, I like a lot. I think gold and silver in the next cycle probably will be the last guy standing. So Even oil will peel off somewhere along the way, but late in the cycle. Oil, I think gold and silver probably go right to the end of the cycle, just like Nvidia goes right to the end of this cycle. So gold and silver will be they will be competing with oil as the top performers. I think certainly the other base metals and things will do very well too. But I haven't forecasted gold for this cycle. I call it pre-bust, meaning it's probably by the end of this year, of 4,000. I had a forecast of 3,000, raised it to 3,400 sometime mid-year last year, I think, and then raised it to 4,000 when we were at 2,500. At 30, I think when we were at 3,400. I raised it to 3,400 when we were at 2,500. So I think 4,000 is a target pre-bust. Post-bust, I think gold can go to 20,000. And silver, I have a pre-bust target that I've had for quite a while of 75. Again, end of this year type of thing. And my post-bust target probably, by sometime 32 or 3, 31, 32, 33, 20, 31, 32, 33. I think silver can get to 500.